mandate to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to refix the mess that this country 2025 with a budget that was saddled with a number of challenges to the economy. Mr. Speaker, just to recap, we're running an economy that nobody was willing to give us money because our predecessors had run this economy into a bankruptcy, and all the rating agencies had agreed that we were running a junk economy, and no investor gives money to a junk economy. So we had to navigate this problem and find a way to finance the development of our country without recourse to those who had previously given us $3 billion a year, and we still could not make use of it. Mr. Speaker, in addition to that, we inherited an IMF program that had derailed. We had missed most of the benchmarks that we needed to implement, and this government, even in the face of the lack of funding, had to work very assiduously to ensure that we brought the IMF program back on track. Mr. Speaker, the country was faced with significant fiscal and external vulnerabilities. We had an economy where, for so many years, we were running this economy as if there was free money from people, so we're not cutting our coat according to size. Mr. Speaker, we were very reckless, to say the least, in borrowing and in managing the fiscal space. Mr. Speaker, externally, we experienced serious heightened external vulnerabilities. And what that meant was that at some point in time, this country had only reserves that could last for 0.8 months, less than 2 weeks of reserves to manage this economy. So we just didn't even have the external reserves to import critical essential drugs just to keep us alive. Mr. Speaker, this government had to deal with such a situation. Mr. Speaker, we were also facing serious monetary crisis. Inflation was all over the place. At some point, inflation in Ghana was 54%. Mr. Speaker, to put that in perspective, if anybody was to give you money, he needed to get a return that is slightly above inflation. So if inflation is 54%, it means that for somebody to give you money, you must give him 54% plus a margin to cater for a real return. So you could not borrow for less than 60% under the government that we inherited. Mr. Speaker, we also knew that the exchange rate was all over the place. For almost 8 years, we had borrowed on the market over $60 billion, and yet we could not manage the cedi. $60 billion was thrown at the cedi, but we ended up with the cedi being selling at 17 cedis. That was the situation that we inherited. Mr. Speaker, today, some people are complaining that this economy, we pumped in $1.4 billion and they have never had it before. But they were comfortable to pump $60 billion into that economy and they never complained. But Mr. Speaker, it is a fact that we never pumped $1.4 billion into the economy. What we put into the economy was forex that was generated by the economy. Mr. Speaker, a very simple question. If you set up a gold board, and that gold board that you set up, our importers into the country go to the banks, and they say that they need let's say $250 million in 1 week to import goods into this country. You take that money and you say, gold board, can you buy gold with this money? Bring us the forex, so we give them the $250 million that they need to import. Is that money not emanating from the economy? Or gold is not for Ghana? So if you decide to use gold board to buy gold and you make it available to meet your auction in the market, that is not injection of funding into the economy. That is pure intermediation of forex. And people who call intervention do not know that there's what we call intermediation in the forex market. And so on the average, the gold board was delivering $1 billion into the economy to fund forex. And people cannot understand why we are able to hold the cedi, because we're getting $1 billion to do that. So my brothers who are all over the place talking about injection, intervention, please revise your note. We were simply intermediating with resources that were generated by the economy. Mr. Speaker, when we inherited this economy, cocoa for 6 months gave us only $500 million. under the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, cocoa delivered 1.8 billion in just the same period of 6 months. And I asked the question, so what do you want us to do with the 1.3 billion extra that we made? So if we give that money back to the economy, you say we have injected money. But what were you expecting? We should go and put those monies in our houses? Obviously, we don't need them in our houses. We need them to enable people get Forex to import. And it is the reason we have been able to manage the Forex, said that today you can actually get a dollar for less than 11 cedis. Mr. Speaker, having turned the corner and addressed these vulnerabilities, we are now moving to the next phase of the economy under the 2026 budget. Mr. Speaker, the next phase of the 2026 budget, Mr. Speaker, in 2026, the inflation that you are seeing will begin to behave again. Mr. Speaker, interest rates are going to behave. Mr. Speaker, the exchange rate will behave because the people who are managing them are themselves behaving. And when you behave, the economic variables cannot misbehave. We were in a country where for 8 years, because of recklessness and lack of behavior on the part of those managing the economy, all that the variables knew was to misbehave. So inflation was misbehaving at 54%. Today, inflation is behaving because we are asking inflation stay within the medium-term band of 8% plus or minus 2, and they will continue to behave in 2026. Interest rates are behaving. Now we are able to lend and borrow at 14%. We will continue to make sure that interest rates behave around that figure. Mr. Speaker, the exchange rate has behaved. Everybody knows that. That today the exchange rate fears to go anywhere near 12 cedis, not to talk about 17 cedis. It will continue to behave under the new arrangement that we are putting together in 2026. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, we are going to see a drastic transformation of the Ghanaian economy. The big push is to create the enabling environment for us to renew our infrastructure and transform our economy. Mr. Speaker, the energy sector is going to see an improvement and transformation. We are going to build new power plants, and as a result, the Minister for Energy and the Minister for Finance are working to ensure that we add another processing plant, which will be able to create no less than 150 million standard cubic feet of gas. And that will be a transformation that the people of Ghana know. Mr. Speaker, there will be transformation in aviation. Today, we know that Terminal 2 is not working. We want to make sure that Terminal 2 works, and we will build a Concorde from Terminal 2 to Terminal 3. So you can actually come to Ghana through Terminal 2, and you need to transit through Terminal 3. You just board a Concorde, and you are in Terminal 3. We want to build a multi-story car park for those of you who miss your flight, because anytime you get there in the evening, you cannot get to the car park. We want to build multi-story car parks to ensure that when you are traveling, you have places to park your car and you will not be missing your flight again. Kojo, you will not miss your flight like you did the last time. Mr. Speaker, in addition to that, we want to make sure that we transform domestic aviation. So we will expand the Wa Airport, we will expand the Sunyani Airport, and we will build a new airport in Bolgatanga. Mr. Speaker, that is the work that His Excellency is bringing to Ghana. Again, when our people arrive here and they need to rest, we want to put up a state-of-the-art hotel at the heart of Terminal 3 so that people can sleep there, take their flight, and go away like we do when we get to Ethiopia and we're able to sleep in Addis Ababa. Today, we want to do that here, and it takes His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to do that for the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, we want to spend on social services. We want to improve education. Mr. Speaker, free SHS is good, but what we have forgotten is that if you are having student enrollment of 200,000 and you are using the same infrastructure and school enrollment increases by 3-4 to 600,000, you must provide more schools, you must provide more educational infrastructure, you must provide more dormitories, and you must be able to improve teaching and learning to accommodate the expanded numbers. As we speak today, His Excellency has declared that by the time he leaves office, there will be no grade 1, grade A, grade B, grade C schools. All of them will be schools of Ghana, and we will upgrade all of them to a level that we are proud to send our children to. So if you get up and you go to a grade C school, there's no difference between a grade C school and a grade B and a grade A school. And by doing that, we are expanding the funding to Ghana Education Trust Fund, the GET Fund. Mr. Speaker, in this country, they were using GET Fund to go and borrow money called Dachi bonds. So when we gave the Ghana GET Fund 3.4 billion Ghana cedis, GET Fund would take 1.2 billion to go and service debt and be left with only 2.4 billion. As a result, we were not able to build more schools. We were not building more basic schools. Today, we are giving GET Fund 9.9 billion Ghana cedis. That is a transformation that will lead to improvement in the provision of quality schools in our communities. Mr. Speaker, we are also aware that there are children with learning difficulties, and we want to make sure that those children get free education. So kids that are learners, that have disabilities, our kids that are in the special schools are going to be given a special place and a special funding. But Mr. Speaker, again, on social spending, we have decided that we will provide funding to support the Mahama Cares. The Mahama Cares is the game changer in making sure that communicable diseases are addressed in our country. And 3 billion Ghana cedis is provided in this budget to ensure that we are able to support the work of the Mahama Cares. Mr. Speaker, we are also improving the funding to the NHIA with the objective of making sure that NHIA and the Ministry of Health can retool most of our hospitals. Mr. Speaker, if you go to our hospitals today, most of our diagnostic equipment are dead. MRIs are not functioning, and you have a difficulty getting a medical doctor prescribing to you because he does not know what is wrong with you. We need to be able to improve our diagnosis systems, and the government of Ghana, under his leadership, John Dramani Mahama, is going to retool all those facilities and provide enhanced capacity to do diagnostics in our hospital. Mr. Speaker, our security services are going to be retooled. Part of the transformation is that we want to ensure that our fire service, which is almost moribund, go there and see our fire tenders. They are not functioning. When you have a fire outbreak, it is better to look for a bucket than to be calling the fire service. Because when you call the fire service, they will come and join you to watch the fire burn because they don't have capacity. We are procuring more fire tenders so that our firemen will fight fire instead of watching fire. And that is what we are doing for our firemen. Mr. Speaker, we are collaborating with the private sector. We are collaborating with the private sector to ensure that in 2026, we put together a framework that allows the fire service, together with the private sector, to begin to develop capacity for our high-rise buildings that are coming up. Imagine somebody is on the 18th floor of the Bank of Ghana office, and there's a fire outbreak there. What will happen to them? We want to be able to provide that capacity so that we can fight fire on our high-rise buildings that are emerging in the airport city and all over the place. So that is the work that we are going to do. Mr. Speaker, again, our security services, we want to retool the army, provide the army with capacity and the resources to be able to protect the external aggression that we may face in future. Anytime we don't have any external aggression, we tend to forget that the people who can save us is the army. We want to be ready to fight any aggression that we get to make sure that our Navy and our waters are safe.
Honourable Member, conclude.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much.
Honourable Members, it's now the turn of Honourable Abna Ose Asari. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my comments to on the budget. Mr. Speaker, before I go on, I'd just like to correct some mistruths that my colleague on the other side just made. One, he mentioned that we borrowed to the tune of 60 billion Ghana cedis. Unless their 2025 budget is wrong. Go to page 14, paragraph 143. It says 49.4 billion cedis and not the 60 billion. Unless your 2025 budget was wrong. 2025 budget was wrong. This is the total debt of the country from independence to date. Mr. Speaker, Again, he said he inherited an economy that was in a mess. An economy that was in a mess left 1 trillion of GDP as against 219 billion Ghana cedis in 2016. An economy that was in a mess, Mr. Speaker. We left 4 months of import cover, close to $9 billion. An economy that was in a mess. Mr. Speaker, again, he also mentioned that the IMF program was derailed. That is not correct, and that is not true. We were here when the finance minister mentioned that when he came, he inherited an arrears to the tune of 68.7 billion. And based on that, he used it to calculate the deficit. Just last week, he came to correct himself, and I was expecting that he will go back to the numbers and correct it. He said they have validated the arrears of 68 billion, and it's only 47.4 billion. That is recognized arrears. So that if it is 47.4 billion that is recognized arrears, how then do you consistently